In this podcast, I had the opportunity to interview Melissa Trump. She's an officer in Indiana. She's also a K-9 handler, or was a K-9 handler. She talks pretty openly and candidly about some things that happened in her profession. Um, some of the stuff she's not capable of talking about just because of the pending litigations. But her experience in law enforcement is something that we need to have removed. It is absolutely insane to me that you have an officer that has done so much for an agency, brought so much good light to the profession. Yet, I guess if you piss the wrong person off, they can just automatically try to ruin your career by any means necessary. Explain that to me. Like, how does that even make sense? Uh, with many departments, you have people that have uh, done nothing, like, do the bare minimum, yet those individuals are glorified in a lot of agencies. Trust me, there's a lot of great agencies, but as a profession as a whole, it seems to be that the ones that are more active and proactive, um, with certain agencies seem to get punished the most for being proactive and bringing a good light to law enforcement. It just blows my mind. We should take those ambassadors of this profession and glorify it again. We need young people that want to be cops, and by punishing individuals within the profession that glorify the profession, just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. We're doing it to ourselves. We're ruining the profession ourselves. It's so disheartening to watch it happen. But this is her story. Um, there's some happiness. There's some sadness. You just let me know what you think.
So you got to ask yourself, why do you want to do this? What keeps you motivated to stay proactive and get bad guys off the street?
The facts is a big cannon against a little tiny gun of opinions, because we've all heard people give us their opinions.
Let's talk about how easy it is to get narcotics in this country.
Once they're in this country, anywhere within 2 days, the drugs will be in our cities.
Because we know knowledge is power.
Well, today on Beyond the Barrel, we have Melissa Trump, who is an officer in Indiana, formerly a K-9 officer, and then had some unhappy things happen between her and her dog. So that's the main reason we're going to get into this and just talk about like how things are good and how things are bad, and how things are, I guess, unfair if you are on the wrong side of shitty administrations. And that's my opinion. That's not hers. But we'll talk about the good things and some bad things.
Sounds good. I definitely don't disagree with anything you just said.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you're allowed to say that. So anything that's negative, it's all me and not her. But let's talk a little bit about your past. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in mostly the Cicero, Indiana area around Moore's Reservoir. I went to, it's a very pretty rural area. I went to high school, Hamilton Heights High School, fairly small school, probably had like 100 people in my graduating class. Um, After that, went to college, got a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. And yeah, ended up
Growing
in law
up,
enforcement.
growing up, do you have siblings?
I do. I have two older brothers, a younger sister, and then I've got a couple step siblings as well.
Any first responders or just you?
Nope, first one in my family.
Right on.
Well, my mom was like a volunteer EMT for a while, so
Growing up, what were your aspirations? Like, I don't know, we all have this like childhood that we, like, I'm 7 years old and I want to be a cop or a fireman or an astronaut or doctor. What was yours?
oh, this is funny. I wanted to go to the WNBA. I played a lot of sports, so my brothers and I were very athletic growing up. My brothers were excellent athletes, and I just tried to be as good as they were. Um, so yeah, I thought I was going to the WNBA. I thought it was all that,
That's
but
awesome.
yeah. But I ended up becoming pregnant when I was really young in high school. So I was pregnant when I was 17, had my son when I was 18. So by the time I graduated high school, I had a 1-year-old. So That
Wow.
wasn't my
What
life
was
changed.
Yeah, I bet. What was, the challenges with that, being in high school and, having a child?
The first part, I think, just getting over the embarrassment of it at, going to school, being pregnant and being that girl in high school. Um, Second, I miss playing sports. I mean, that was all I wanted to do. It's all I ever did. I mostly grew up playing basketball. I played a lot of AAU basketball. I played other sports outside of basketball, but basketball, that was like my passion. I loved it. So,
Probably like an Indiana
um,
thing too.
yes, definitely Hoosier. Going into college, I, met with my guidance counselor who just thought maybe law enforcement would be something that I would be good at. So I went and did an internship at the sheriff's department in my county, Hamilton County. At the time, Doug Carter, who is the former superintendent, he was the sheriff at the time. So I was able to do an internship within the sheriff's office, and I thought that I wanted to do something with juvenile probation. Maybe, I had my son at a young age. I worked at a daycare at the time. I worked at my son's daycare. So I thought, hey, I'm pretty good with kids. Maybe that would be something that I'd like to do. When I did my internship, I'm not gonna say that they failed me in my internship, but I felt like all the departments that I visited, they just seemed really annoyed maybe that I was just there in the first place. And I feel like I just sat in the corner all day, except for when I got to go do ride alongs and work with the patrol officers. And I felt like all the patrol officers still tried to talk me out of it, but they were the most engaged with me. And that's where I really just had the most fun. And at that point, decided, all right, I'm going to be a police officer, but I'm going to get my bachelor's degree first because I was still pretty young. You got to be 21 just to try out. So that's kind of the path that I took.
So what was your, did you have any experience with, law enforcement as, I guess, a juvenile or even
No,
prior to this? Like, no positive, no negative
no,
interactions or at all?
I really didn't. I grew up in a really nice area and grew up in a pretty good family. Didn't ever really have any interactions with police officers my entire life. So this was at it, I had a friend that was also going through the same internship with me, so we were kind of going through it together, and we just I don't know, it was that buddy system as well. I feel like
Did the person that you're going through that, did they end up being a cop too?
no, she didn't. She she just struggled with her push-ups and could never really seem to pass her push-ups, and it's unfortunate. I think she would have been a really great officer, but now she's a stay-at-home mom. So
Do you think your sports background helped you? Just from my experience going through testing processes, it's always, I can't say always, but a lot of females fail something within the physical aspect of it.
right.
Do you think that your sports background kind of helped you?
Oh, yeah, in more ways than just the physical aspect. I mean, obviously the physical aspect helped. It was never hard for me to do any part of the physical. Um, and then even just like, you know, growing up and like being in that team environment or dealing with, coaches being kind of hard on you. I think all those things kind of prepare you for law enforcement.
No, I'm a big proponent of it. I always, it's one question I always ask my guests about sports because the team atmosphere from sports, I think it transitions well to law enforcement. And I also think like in a team, you have to be willing to rely on other people and other people are relying on you. So it just gives you a different perspective than, and I'm not saying it's the only thing, but I think it transitions well to the military and law enforcement with when you have already an understanding
Yeah,
of like a team network type of system.
absolutely.
Where did you go to college at?
Oh, kind of all over the place. I did a couple of years at IU in Kokomo, and then I spent some time at Ivy Tech at this time. Now I'm like years have gone by. Now I have two kids at this point in my life. So I finished the rest online. It's right when online schooling started. So I finished at the University of Phoenix, which is one of I feel like the very first online schools to offer, classes for you.
I
So
remember that when I was going through college, it was big. I don't know. I remember all of it because I
yeah.
always thought about, man, this might be. a little bit of an easier route to do it online. I don't know if it would be, but I hated going and
Yeah.
sitting through
It
lectures that
takes
were awful.
it's actually still a lot of dedication, and you've got to be self-motivated to sit there and get your work done in a timely manner. Um, Lucky for me, I had so many credits already that I was transferring, so I didn't need, very many credits to finish. But uh, yeah, it's kind of a mixture of schools.
When you get out of college, how long does it take before you get hired?
Gosh, I can't remember, honestly. Um, I don't remember when I started applying, to be honest.
What what jobs did you have in between that and law enforcement?
So I just worked in a preschool with my kids. It helped me get a discount on childcare. And then in the evenings, this is embarrassing, but I was like that promo girl in the bars, the girl that dressed in the Jack Daniels outfits and would come in the bar, hand out free shots, hand out T-shirts. We would be at different events. It was always different company, but I worked for a marketing company, and that's what we did. So whatever the brand was of the month that we were representing, that's what I did.
Was it like a liquor representative or something like that? Is that like
Uh,
this kind of the
Kind of.
same?
So I didn't work at a certain bar. It's just we would have basically, it'd be like say the Final Four is going on. So we would have so many venues that we would need to go into for 2 hours at a time. We would spend our time there, promote whatever product we were promoting, hand out whatever merchandise we had to hand out, take our pictures with people, and then I've done other events like and I've done so many events, PBR, bull riding events where I'd be there, so, representing Jack Daniels, and people just come up and take pictures with us. And so that's what I did.
Was it financially? I'm sure that would be halfway decent, right? Making money for like the amount of work that you were doing.
Yeah, it was crazy. It paid like $45 an hour to do that. I'm making more money doing this on my side gig than I am at my full-time job.
That's
But
nuts.
it wasn't consistent work, so it was just something that I did to supplement on the side, and you know it got me through.
Right on.
And
When
actually,
you
I met a lot of great girls. I mean, I met some girls were also Pacemates, or they'd be Colts cheerleaders, and I met
Oh,
some
that's
really
cool.
awesome people doing it too. Yeah.
So when you start applying, how many different departments did you apply for? Or was it like one and done and you're good to go?
No, I applied all over. So I live in Hamilton County. I feel like, the amount of applicants, it seemed like they were getting maxed out, at least at the time when I was applying. So I think I want to go back to like, gosh, I don't even remember what year it was when I started applying, but I've been in law enforcement for 10 years now. So when I had first started applying, it's like they're still getting like 500 applications per department and cutting it off. I'd show up for tryouts, and I would do well, but I felt like I was always in like that top 50 to 100. I never got in that, top 10, which I think that was still pretty good for the amount of applicants that were showing up. Um,
And I think it's a learning
Eventually,
experience, like as you're
yeah,
testing. I'm sure that you got higher on the list as time went on, just because it's like, I don't know, you feel more comfortable. You've
yeah.
already been through these routines. You kind of know everything.
I feel like I did pretty well on actual the testing aspect, because I don't remember what the company is. It's probably similar all over Indiana, but it's a company that comes in and they give the test, and you get maybe 3 hours to study and memorize the test, and then you take the test. And I'd done it so many times, I just got so good at taking it. My downfall was just interviews. I've just never been good at public speaking, or even this. I don't enjoy this right now. Um, Even though I have like a social media presence, it takes a lot for me to want to get on there and talk in front of people. So being in a interview where it's like a panel interview, you've been through it. You've probably been on the interview on the panel, but you got
it's miserable.
six to 10 officers in there asking you questions, and it's just you feel like a deer in headlights when, or at least I felt like a deer in headlights when they would ask me questions. And so I just felt like I, my interviews were not as good. So I started working on interviews, having my friends interview me, and I eventually got hired on a smaller department, which less applicants. So I felt like, oh, I'm going to test really good. There's only like 15 people trying out. Surely I'm going to like score pretty well. And so I got hired on a department, a small department, not what I was looking for in law enforcement. I think at the time it may be 6 to 8 officers.
Oh, wow.
Very, very, very small town. Went through the academy. Just did not have a good experience at that department. Didn't feel like I knew anything. I was on solo patrol. Didn't feel like I really knew what I was doing because most of my FTO was just nothing happened. And it just, once I had the opportunity to go to a larger department, that's what I did.
I think it's pretty evident that I'll probably be speaking at the Justice X conference, but I wanted to give my little instructor spiel like everyone else's. And the main reason is because I wanted to come in here and thank all these amazing instructors that are willing to donate their time away from their family, their profession, and their friends to come and make the profession better. I don't know how I became so lucky with the ability to surround myself with amazing people in this profession. I have some of the most amazing friends in this profession. They're the most selfless individuals willing to go out on a whim and put a conference together with me and just to try to make the profession a little bit better. And I don't know how I pulled this off. I don't know what it is, but I'm beyond grateful for them. That being said, when I speak at the conference, communication is the biggest thing to me. I think that communication is the most important tool that we have as cops, and that's not verbal communication. That could be nonverbal communication. I'm going to focus a lot of my instruction on that aspect where communication is universal. It doesn't have to just pertain to interdiction. It's all of law enforcement. If you have the ability to communicate with someone that is a multimillionaire and a guy that's homeless living on the street, your career is going to be a lot more fruitful. And you have this ability to have a lot more empathy when you're communicating and understanding and being actively listening. Someone else came up with this. I love it. So I'm going to throw it out there. As cops, we are often waiting to respond and we're not actively listening, but you can't do them both. So I think as cops, you ask a question, engage and actively watch what their response is. It doesn't have to be this such a strict format of what you're asking, chronological order or anything like that. Let a conversation flow like you're talking to one of your friends. Don't just be so rigid. And that's where I think a lot of us fail. And it's not our fault. Until you know that you're doing it wrong, you'll never know. Like I was very robotic as a cop and I couldn't communicate with people. I know that for a fact. I'm introverted and I go to the police academy and all this other stuff. But anyways, I can't wait to see you in South Carolina in April of 2026 with all these amazing instructors.
So
No, I mean,
they're good.
I think that's pretty consistent with a lot of cops. It's I feel like bigger department. I don't know, whatever it is. Like when I was applying everywhere. I probably applied at 50 different departments. I'm not joking. Over a few years, and you're showing up to these smaller departments, and there's 100 people that applied, and they're taking one. But I feel like I don't know. As depending on department size and the applicant pool, I feel like you can get less qualified applicants because of the pool, and then if you're using those applicants to train new hires, it's going to be pretty miserable, I would think.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, I put in for, so all the departments in my area, probably I didn't put in for 50 departments, but I feel like I tried out maybe 50 times, at least somewhere, not maybe exaggerating. I at least tried out maybe 20, 25 times for departments though in my area.
Yeah, I some self-induced things. I was 20 when I started applying, and that was a huge learning experience. And then when I was 22, I decided to drink way too much and hit a tree. So I was still applying after that, and a lot of them, it was just giving me the experience. And then eventually, I was able to get hired. But I think a lot of it, like I was going through the interviews and things along those lines, and I was 100% transparent. I would always get on like the hiring list, like at those times, but they'd be like, "We're hiring 6, and you're number 8." And then like so,
Yeah,
it
right.
just self-induced, like, it's my fault, like, I think but it did give me a ton of experience. I knew that I wasn't gonna get hired in the recent, like,
Yeah.
future after that
Where
incident, so,
did you ever get charged with a
I did.
DUI?
Yeah, and I took a plea for, like, reckless driving or something, whatever it is. I think it's like looking back, it's like I don't know what it did for me. Because I think the OWI I got charged for was the same like class B or C misdemeanors as reckless driving or whatever the hell it is. So I was like, I don't really know why I did that, but it just in my mind it looked better than a DUI conviction, I guess.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I can
so
see that.
that was my own doing, but it did give me a lot of experience. The interview was my most miserable aspect of it. And me not knowing any better, like you go to interviews or you see interviews, it's like one on one typically, right? Like the first couple
Right,
of times I'm showing up and it's like these like you have 5 people,
right,
6 people staring at you. I'm like, what the fuck is
right.
this? This is
Yeah,
crazy.
I had no idea the first time that that's what I was gonna walk into was a panel full of people,
Yeah, me either.
and mostly men. So I'm already just naturally a little bit intimidated.
No, that makes sense. There were some interviews like I'm just trying to think of some that are completely off the wall. There was one that I went. So there's like 5 people that are interviewing, and you're sitting with like 5 people that are interviewees, like that are, and then you had a color, and they would just call out your color, and you would have to randomly answer the question in whatever order, and then you couldn't answer. So you have say you're the fifth one, you couldn't answer the same way that the first four did. I'm like I don't know. It was
Right.
insane, but it was I don't know. I don't know why departments do some of the stuff that they do, but it
Oh
was
yeah.
interesting. Like I don't know. There was a lot of repetitive things, and then there was a lot of things. I'm like, what the hell is this? It was interesting though. But I applied from Indianapolis north, pretty much any department you could think of. My weekends consisted of either like going and testing at multiple departments if I could. Like some were Saturday, some were Sunday. I would go to both.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it was
I did that. I
miserable.
mean, I would be working in the bars all night and then have to get up and go for a full day of 7 hours of testing all in
I
a
was a
day.
bartender at the time too. I was a bartender in college, so I kind of, I guess, can relate, empathize. But my bar was not a bar that was open till 3 in the morning. It would usually close at about midnight, so I had a little bit of sleep. Anyways, enough about that mess. So how long were you at this small agency?
Just shy of a year.
Okay, and then
Went
did you go
to
to now your current agency?
no, I went to another agency, was there for about 3.5, 4 years. Um, had applied for a like a decoy school for K-9. And I mean, I like that department. If it wasn't for K-9, I would have hoped to still maybe stay there one day. I still have, people that I talk to from that department. It's not too far from where I'm at now. But I had applied for a K-9 training just to be a decoy and was actually denied, but several male officers from my department had gotten approved. So another officer knew I really wanted to get into K-9 and he believed in me. So he came up with an idea like, hey, tell them that you'll pay for the training on your own, um, and see what they say. So I did that and I went to the training, which is the training was being held by my current department. And I showed up with, a check in my hands. And the guy that was in charge just thought, well, why the hell are you showing up and paying for yourself when your department sent 3 guys that, you know, he's like, they all suck. And but I will say it was a very hot like day. Like the heat index was outrageous and we're out there in bite suits and some of those guys were just not as fit as what I am or was at the time and they were having heat exhaustion and they couldn't do anything. So he said, I want someone like you on my department that is so dedicated that you're willing to do this. This is the kind of handler I want on my department. If you come to my department, I promise you I will help you get a K-9. And so I did a lot of thinking and that's what I did. So I ended up there and I did. Everything was great. I had a K-9 within, I was still in my probation period. I think it was around 9 months in and I was already training with a K-9. So
Wow.
I think that's probably pretty unheard of at most places. So
When you bought, this is your third department, pension wise, um, were the other two within perf?
the yeah, so the first one of them was the first one was perf. The second one was had perf and civilian perf, and then now I'm the sheriff. The sheriff has a pension. Um, so
That kind of sucks
but
then.
Yeah, it's a little different, yeah, but I mean, listen, I'm willing to do anything to get a K-9. So once I got into law enforcement, I just thought I want to be a K-9 officer. I just thought I quickly realized how difficult that was going to be to become K-9 because most departments you just get a couple K-9s and those handlers work them for until they retire, and then typically those handlers get another K-9. So it's hard to get in K-9, and I just was willing to do pretty much whatever it took to get in K-9, and I loved it. I've been at my current department now for about 5 years, just a little bit under 5 years. Worked K-9 for about 3.
What where's it? I mean, are you like an animal person? Is that why you want a canine, or what drew
Yeah,
your
so
attention to it?
I mean, I loved animals growing up. I mean, other than thinking that I was going to be in the WNBA, I also thought I was going to be a veterinarian or work in the zoo. So I've always been a huge animal lover, any and all animals. Um, but I just think it's the coolest thing to be able to go to work and, have a dog with you. So,
Yeah, it's one of the best partners to have. Multiple reasons, but I don't know. For me, it's they don't really talk back in a sense. So like you kind of
yeah.
get, but also for me, like I mean, it's a great tool, but it's also like a therapy thing for me. Like when you're having a bad day, uh, the dogs
Oh,
know
yeah.
that, and then you could just go love on them for a little bit and makes things a little bit better, anyways. So not only is it a great tool, but it's very therapeutic for me.
And everyone loves the dog. So
That's true.
they love the dog, they love you. And yeah, I mean, I love it.
Dog
Hopefully I really, really, really hope to get back into K-9 one day. I mean, that is my goal. Mark my words, I'm gonna be in K-9 one day.
dogs are a great bridge to the community, I feel like. Just because everyone, I don't know, not everyone, but most people appreciate dogs, so they see a dog, they don't even necessarily look past the dog to see that it's a police dog or it's a cop.
Mhm.
They're just looking at the dog for a dog at face
Yeah.
value, and I don't know. I feel it's a great build bridge to the community to help build relationships.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially the dog, my dog, Tiko. He is such a lover and he's so good with the public. He's a dog that we could have, public demonstrations with. Kids can come up and pet him.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah.
How big? How many dogs are in your agency?
Well, our unfortunately, when I was in K-9, we actually had, I think, a pretty big K-9 um, for the size of our department. We had actually, this is a little different, but we had 2 K-9s working in our jail.
Okay.
Just kind of how, and then we had 3 on the road. So for a department that's the size of like 20 people, it's
Yeah,
pretty
that's
good.
good. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You're
So currently there's just 2 now, 2 on the road.
none in the jail anymore?
No.
Wow. What,
They retired or somebody else left the agency and he was able to fortunately take his dog with him.
with what were those dogs? Were they like narcotic dogs?
One dog was a narcotic only dog in the jail. The other one was a dual purpose.
Interesting.
And I don't know if that is something that's allowed in all jails, but we do house federal inmates.
Okay.
So I think there may be some other stipulations that apply that if you house federal inmates that you can work a dual purpose dog in a facility like that. But don't mark
Get
my
it
words, I'm not really sure.
No, yeah, I was just curious. I didn't know if maybe some of them were, like, specialized in, like, I don't know, like tobacco or something that was prohibited in your jail or if they but I didn't know that jails even had dual purpose, so I'm I have no idea.
Yeah.
When you get the dog or you're in that process, what is the outlook from people that you're working with? Like, is there animosity? Is there jealousy? Is everyone cool because no
No.
one else wants a
I,
dog? Like, what's
yeah. I mean, they knew that I had worked for it. So on my days off, I was decoying during K-9 trainings. I was going out there on my own time. I wasn't getting paid overtime to go do this. I um I was just showing up, putting on the bite suit, paying my dues, learning how to set tracks for the guys, learning how to, lay dope for them. just all the fundamentals of K-9, and nobody else in the department was really interested in doing any of that stuff at the time. Um,
So did you have
so
to
when
go
it
through an
came,
interview panel, or is it just basically based
I
on
just
you doing everything that there
so
was no one else in line?
yeah, I didn't actually interview for it. They basically made an announcement: if you're interested in applying for K-9, write a letter of your interests, and it'll be reviewed. And I don't know that anybody else wrote a letter of interest, so I don't know there was any need to do much. But it was kind of, the K-9 supervisor at the time got the blessing of everybody else, like, this is who we want, right? And so there wasn't any jealousy or issues there that I'm aware of.
And then is that the current sheriff that you were still working had you worked for any other sheriffs, or is it the same one the whole time?
Same one whole time.
What is the, initial, I guess, outlook from the sheriff on you, on the dog, on the whole thing?
I don't know if I was just so naive to notice anything, but I just thought everything was great. I didn't notice that there was ever any issues until it was, I guess, issues started, being brought to my attention later down the road.
How is
Um,
so everything's smooth. Do you still have the same K-9 handler boss?
yeah.
And then what what led to the complete, like, downfall of
So,
y
I guess,
and I'm not saying downfall, I'm trying to word it
yeah,
the right way, like, what
yeah.
led to the negativity towards you, the dog, and everything else?
I I don't know. I don't know if somebody got upset or jealous. I think when I got into K-9, I just got this popularity with Tico. We went to our first K-9 training and Appalachia training, and then we ended up on the magazine cover, um, and just the department just seemed to hate every single bit of it. Instead of looking at it like something that they could capitalize on, or like, hey, look at this, this is awesome. They hated or somebody hated every single bit of it. And I started getting just these anonymous complaints at work that just they just seemed really petty at the time, and not anything that I could really ever do anything about, because I never really got reprimanded for them. I just got verbal warnings for stuff that I had never been talked to about before. Maybe, my hair. I have long hair, and typically I just wear it in a braid or in a ponytail. But we all have policies within our department that I feel like don't really get followed, such as uh, keeping your boots shined. Half of us don't even wear boots that can be shined, but it's still in our policy. We have to have our boots shined, or no tobacco use while you're in uniform or in your vehicle. But I think just several officers I work with, they're always chewing tobacco. But it's nothing that anybody cares about. Nobody ever gets in trouble for, or facial hair. Men aren't supposed to have facial hair unless it's no shave November and they have permission. But yet all of a sudden, in our policy it says my hair can't touch my shirt collar, but all of a sudden it's a problem. And if I'm talked to about it again, I'm gonna get written up. Um,
So it started at, like, very minor things, and were these
yeah,
coming from
it
the
did.
sheriff or your bosses, or where was the, I guess, who was telling you about these things that were
So
issues?
my supervisors were telling me that, they were told through a supervisor that they had received anonymous complaints about me. I had anonymous complaints about my finances. Um, I had some bills and collections that I had. I had a break in between law enforcement where I didn't get hired, and then COVID happened, and it took even longer to get hired. So we had some bills going to collections, and that they never had an issue with it when I got hired. I disclosed everything that I had. They did a financial background check on me, everything, and didn't have any issues. But all of a sudden now I was being talked to, and I felt threatened that I was going to be written up if I didn't get them taken care of um, right away. And I had a supervisor tell me, that was looking out for me, saying, "Hey, Melissa, there's other deputies that work here that have far larger financial issues than you, and they're not being talked to." And we're talking like my financial issues were probably, let's say, around $10,000 of debt that I had, where there's officers being sued for $80,000.
Jesus.
So there's officers in mortgage foreclosure, or that have filed bankruptcy, and I wasn't to that, and yet they had never been spoken to or talked to. So these are things that I started. They started opening my eyes. Like, I kind of feel like you're being targeted, but still wasn't really anything I could do about it. So, um, but just along the way, there was other, small things. Like, I had training one day, and it was Evo training. We were just driving our cars through through the cones, and then you do that a few times, and then we leave, go home. I showed up in like gym clothes, so for me, that's like I showed up in like a hoodie, yoga pants, tennis shoes, and they had like taken a picture and went to go put it on Facebook. Like, look at our officers out here training today. Somebody saw a picture of me and complained that I was wearing yoga pants or spandex and said that was a policy violation.
Is it a
Um,
policy violation?
I guess I don't know. I mean, you know how many policies there are. I don't know if it
No,
says that, but
I'm just curious. Like,
I feel like there's so many policies that okay. So I guess it was that you can't wear, even. But then at the time, I did have a supervisor. It was brought to his attention as a lieutenant. He said, if I write her up, I have to write the entire department up because we're all out of our dress code. Like, we're not supposed to be wearing jeans. We're not supposed to be wearing gym clothes, like any of this. So I can't just write her up. So that kind of just like nothing happened with that. Um, but I will
it
say
makes me
that I
happy that there's
was,
some good middle management that would stand up
yeah,
for its
some would,
officers.
but yeah, the two that did stand up for me, they're unfortunately no longer with my agency. They're retired now. Um,
Are you the only female that works, I
no,
guess, in patrol?
no. So there's a couple others. At the time, there was one, but she was injured. So it for a while I was the only one, but she has been through her own share. I'm not going to share her story, but she's
Yeah,
been
yeah.
through her own battles with the department as well. Um,
Is it
but so
I hate playing this game, but is it, targeted towards females for some reason? Um,
it
or
sure
is it
feels. I will say it sure feels like that way. At least in my opinion, it does feel that way.
what about
Like
across
with
the board? Is there males that are being similar things just because maybe they don't align with the sheriff's ideas or, I guess, support him in election or anything like that? Or is it pretty consistent where it's just the females?
it feels pretty consistent with the females.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess we can kind of jump forward. So there was several of these kind of small things. I feel like I can go all day about um, things that
One question, do you
were
think it all started just because you were getting attention based on being on that magazine? And
no, not just
or
that, but I think social media too. I got a lot of attention.
and you think that that is coming from the sheriff, or
No,
is it
I'm not sure. I know that there's a lot of wives that you know had a lot of issues with me, filed a lot of complaints on me as well. I feel like they
so
used
these
to have,
anonymous complaints
yeah, could
I
be from
guess
them too.
they could be like, yeah, like legit complaints that they're getting, but just
Yeah.
kind of baseless in general,
I
and
just
then the sheriff's like,
I can remember having so many issues that I felt like were coming from wives and girlfriends that, you know, speaking with people saying, when will deputies be held accountable for things that their wives and spouses do? Because this feels like it's kind of getting out of hand. This isn't fair. They're harassing me on social media. They're making up rumors. I can't talk to any of my coworkers because they're males. And as soon as I start talking to them, there's rumors and they're doing investigations and they're always checking my GPS, but not checking other people's GPS location. Um, so
interesting.
I think just female, and I'm sure there's other females at other agencies, and they probably have dealt with a lot of similar things like this.
I just think, yeah, I mean, it sucks to see. I don't. I'm sure that there are. It just I can't fathom like the rationalization of another adult doing
Hmm.
that shit. Like it just doesn't make
And
sense to me. I don't get it.
it sucks as a female. I just felt very, secluded and lonely at work a lot of times because I kept to myself. I didn't want to go eat dinner with the guys if they were meeting up somewhere because I knew what it would turn into or what rumors were gonna be started. And so it was just best for me to just stay separate. and it just sucked because you kind of felt left out a lot. I think that's why I liked K-9 so much, because they accepted me, and that wasn't like, they know who I was, and they knew that I wasn't trying to sleep with so and so and so and so, and but those rumors weren't true.
Yeah, I think as once you get in those specialties, it creates a close niche group of individuals either way. So like
Yeah,
just because you can all relate to whatever that is, like it could be SWAT, it could be K9, but it could be narcs. Like you guys just know what you guys go through because you have so much more things that you can relate about. Also, when you're
yeah,
training dogs, I guess no one can really bitch. So you still have that,
yeah,
like you could be around them for training dogs. Like I guess people still could bitch, but it's kind of baseless. But they all seem baseless.
yeah. So then, like I said, there was all these small things, but couldn't really ever do anything. I've even called, the FOP and asked them, like, what are my options? Is this, harassment? And they would just tell me document, document, document. But until you're actually really reprimanded, there's not a whole lot we can do for you. So I just, throughout the years, I just documented all these things, like they said, and that's been, I tell everyone, document if you're going through stuff at work. It will pay off one day if you feel like you're being, singled out at work. Um, so fast forward, I have a son. I had him really young. He's 22 years old now, and he's just been a troublemaker kid. He's been extremely defiant his entire life. This kid he's just a handful. He's ADHD, um, from a
He's a good
young
athlete though.
age.
Is he a good athlete?
He was not my athlete. No,
Oh,
unfortunately.
okay.
I have another son, and he's the complete opposite, and he is the athlete. But this kid, he took a different path. He chose the hardest path, and I mean, he grew up with really good role models in life. So I don't want to say it was a lack of this or a lack of that, not just because I was a young parent. He's just a really defiant, difficult kid. And I tried my best to hold him accountable. At, I think, around the age of 14, he was on probation. He was on house arrest. I had him held in the juvenile detention facility for, I mean, I think about months. And I did all these things, to try to do my best as a parent. It was tough love, but he was a troublemaker kid. He was doing a lot of bad things. And even as a mom who was a police officer, I mean, it was hard to control him. And there, unfortunately, I think me working night shifts, I mean, it left a lot of freedom for him to go, you know, be a bad kid. And he was dealing drugs at a young age, and I didn't even know that he was doing this stuff. So he had gotten himself into a lot of trouble. Um, he's been stealing alcohol from the house from a very young age, where he'd fill the bottles back up with water and try to trick me. And it got to the point that we would either not have alcohol in the house, or if we did, I can remember one time we hid all the alcohol that we had in the trunk of my car, and then took the keys, and we had like a detached shop garage, and we went and locked them in a locked toolbox in there, and then locked the garage, and he still managed to figure it out. I mean, this kid is crazy. Like, he is so he's just so techie smart too. He would lock us out of our cameras in our house and change the passwords, because we'd have cameras to watch him. And so that's how we caught him, how to find the alcohol. And then once we told him that we caught him from the cameras, he'd go and lock us out of the camera system. So this is just a very smart, tricky, this is the kind of kid I'm dealing with. And so he no longer lives with me, but he was about 30 days shy of turning 21. I was getting ready to go on vacation with, I think there was 17 of us. My neighbors are my best friends, and they were going with us. And I was going to, we were going on vacation, and I have him and his girlfriend. I make plans to have them come over, have dinner at our house. I need them to take care of our animals while we're gone. Not Tiko. He went to a kennel, but I had another dog at the time, and two cats, so they were going to come sit at the house. Um, he never showed up for dinner, so I went next door with my neighbor to help her start packing. At some point, my son did come home, or come over to my house, and he drank a beer at my house that was not provided by me. We don't even keep beer in our house. Neither one, my husband and I, were not beer drinkers, but my husband's son was over, He is 21. And he said, yeah, no, I gave Blake a beer. My son had come from a party and his girlfriend she was also 19 or 20 at the time. She came over and had been drinking. I have no idea. I'm next door at my neighbor's. I come home from my neighbor's. My son, I see him take a sip of a beer, throw it in the trash can. He says, all right, I'm leaving. I'm like, what do you mean you're leaving? I just got here. I need to go over stuff. He's like, nope, I already know what to do. I tried to convince him to stay the night. He didn't want to. Actually, this is what he said. He said, Mom, I haven't smoked weed in like 7 days. I'm going home so I can smoke weed and actually sleep. I'm like, fair enough. Thank you for not bringing it to my house, right? He leaves. He gets pulled over by the local police department. They search his car because obviously it smells like weed. They don't have anything, but they run him through field sobriety. They want to make sure he's okay to drive. He does all the field. He does whatever they ask and does PBT, and he blows a .003. And they end up arresting him and his girlfriend for that minor consumption, and filed a complaint on me at my department, believing that I provided him with alcohol, and that's kind of what started this. I mean, everything, it just got out of hand.
Where would they get that information that you like? Where does it even come from? Just
They
because
just on the traffic stop. So they've dealt with Blake before. They know Blake's my son. And Blake had talked like, oh, my mom's a police officer. Can we call her? Can she come pick up my car? Can they come get my dog? Because he had his dog with him at the time too. And they didn't let him call any of us. They took the dog to jail. Well, they took the dog to the pound even. But
the complaint, what's the base of it?
my son, I think he's just got such an attitude with police. He's not a big fan of police. He loves me. I'm his mom, but and I've watched. There's 6 hours of body camera footage that I watched from the stop, and a lot of it's pretty frustrating to watch. Some of it's frustrating because of the way my son acted, but there was point. I mean, at the beginning he was very cooperative, and then once he felt disrespected, then he started disrespecting them, and it just at that point they're like, "You're going to jail." There's a lot of parts where the officers muted their body camera, so I couldn't hear what they were saying. But
interesting. What
yeah,
so did he say that you gave him the beer? Like, because if that's
no,
the
he
basis
just
of the complaint,
so they didn't say that, but they said that there was alcohol at my house and that we were there. So this is frustrating because they never got a statement from me. They said they tried to reach out. I never got a phone call from them, and that was it. So it was frustrating because their report differed from what their body camera showed. So in the report, they said that my son and his girlfriend they said that I provided them with alcohol. But, this went through my merit trial and was broken down by lawyers, and there was no point where they said that, but the report said that. My lawyer brought that up to the detective at my department and said, well, did you notice, that wasn't said? And the detective said, yes, I noticed that. The body camera and the report didn't quite match up. And he said, well, did you report it to that police department? Because shouldn't those officers be held accountable? Because they basically were dishonest in the report. And our detective just said, oh, I don't remember. I think I did. I don't know. I don't recall. So this is kind of frustrating.
so this goes through an in-house
Yeah.
detective. You guys don't outsource that stuff.
Yeah, this was like, my department put me under an IA. They sent me for a polygraph. I took a polygraph and they didn't say I passed. They didn't say I failed. I was there for 4 hours or longer taking this polygraph.
Is that part of your working conditions or rules and regs that you have to
So
take?
if they ask us to take a polygraph while under an IA, we have to, from my understanding, we have to go take it.
That's interesting because it has no
Yeah.
basis in any type of criminal
Mhm.
proceeding. So that interesting that they would
And
use that as a
I'm not
determining factor of something.
I'm not even gonna get into the polygraph because there's a lot I just don't quite understand
Fair
about
enough.
it. But if there's like 7 hours of my merit trial that has been posted on Spotify that covers my
Jesus.
yeah, it was a long merit trial that I had. A merit trial is basically like the sheriff asked for my termination, so I fought against them, right? So The sheriff can't terminate me. He can only give me 15 days suspension. And so it went to the merit board, which unfortunately is 3 of the members are chosen by the sheriff, and they're his buddies. And then there's 2 from the deputies. So it's
That's,
you're already
yeah, you're already
struggling
losing.
there.
It's a losing battle.
Yeah.
So
Um,
how long is this process? Like what? So this starts
so I
and
got put on a 10-month, or I was on administrative paid leave for about 10 months altogether. It was crazy. I just didn't understand how this was getting taken so out of context. And, we're talking like my son blew a .003. Like that is like
and
using mouthwash and
and
going
it was
really
proven that.
crazy.
So they just came from your house and your house has alcohol. Like that's like
Mhm.
95% of this country. That makes zero sense
Oh
that they
yeah,
could make a complaint about it. And
yeah.
if they said your son or his girlfriend said that you gave it to him, that was proven by the body cam that that's not accurate.
Yeah.
I don't understand the basis of this.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely frustrating because I feel like those officers should be held accountable. And I don't know at the time if they knew what this was going to cause for me from them, not from their report writing or
And
lack of.
and I don't know. For me, so these individual officers then called the sheriff's department to complain, or did it like go up through like an
They received
admin chain or something?
yeah, I think through their admin change received some sort of formal complaint. So my department, investigated that, and that's kind of what it turned into. Oh, so it gets better. So during this time, I get taken off patrol, and now I'm on paid leave. I'm just at home all the time. I get called in one day and thinking, oh great, this is all done with. Like I'm coming back to work, and I was told that day to turn over my K-9 and my gun, my badge, my car, everything. And I was now under a criminal investigation, but I was not told what that criminal investigation was about. And I waited, I think it was 56 days before they called me in again and then finally told me. And the detective called me in, I'll never forget it. He told me I was being investigated for a felony. And I asked him what it was for. And he said, well, if you stay with me long enough, you answer enough questions for me, something along those lines. You answer enough questions for me, you stay with me long enough, I'll let you know. So I
That
felt
sounds
like I kind of felt like
like
forced
entrap.
to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
I
coercion
wanted,
or some shit,
I
right?
knew, like, to me, I knew I hadn't done nothing wrong. And so I wanted to know what it was about. So I was like, yeah, I'll answer questions. I want to know what this is about. And he pulls out like screenshots of my social media and starts talking about, oh, you have a lot of followers. So you're like a social media influencer, aren't you? And, I have a decent following on social media. But I wouldn't say that I'm like, it's not like I have millions of followers. I've got, now I have around 45,000 followers on Instagram. I have around 90,000 on TikTok. I don't know what I have on Facebook, but I don't have millions and millions and millions of followers. Um,
It's still, I
so
mean, still pretty impressive for cops to have that many
it is.
followers. I mean, I'm not saying that like their
No, it's
avenue
definitely, yeah, it's
of
not
complaining. Yeah,
average, that's for sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I know
yeah.
it's large, but I don't on what they're trying to pin me on. It's just they're trying to say that basically I was being compensated on behalf of being a police officer, and that is official misconduct. That's a level 6 felony. So they wanted to know if I was making money on social media. They got warrants for my social media. I mean, who knows what they actually went through on my social media, what they were and weren't allowed to, but they had actual warrants for my social media, went through DMs that I had, people that would send me stuff to post for them, like, hey, we want to send you something. But nothing, I'll tell you, nothing's really free. I'm sure you probably get people that reach out to you and ask you to, promote something. We want to send you something, but you got to put work and time into, taking pictures or making a video or making, some sort of content. Like nothing's free.
Right.
Um,
So
So
as long as you're not doing it on duty, I don't understand what the issue is.
right, right. And so they didn't like it. They sent charges to a special prosecutor who said I didn't do anything criminal.
Good.
Um, yeah, so that kind of just went away. But at the time, the sheriff just said, "Oh, I've tarnished the badge. I posted pictures of myself in uniform. Um,
That's ironic
it
that
was a
that it comes
disgrace."
from
So
him because
yeah,
of what he's done of late, and he's all over the news for his
yeah.
lack of judgment
hmm
and
So we can just say, I mean, he's got several felonies pending him in his
yeah, that's what I'm
license,
saying. Like
and yeah, it's
yeah, like
anybody
how
can
could he?
go and look it
Who's
up.
who's he to
Look
judge
it
at
up.
that point?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's
So even
insane to me.
the prosecutor spoke to my attorney and just said, what are they like? Why are they doing this to her? What is she crazy for challenging them at the merit board? They're going to tear her apart though, because that's what merit boards do. Merit boards are never won. Nobody ever wins a merit board because they're set up for failure.
Yeah,
I mean, you lose before you go in. Kind of like a polygraph too. Often the time a polygraph is predetermined what the results are going to be, and that's one of the reasons why they're not admissible in court. So I kind of went into it saying, my lawyer said, "Hey, I don't know. I think, you should win this merit trial, but I'm going to give you, let's say, a 40% chance of winning, just because, not that you shouldn't win, but it's just the way it's set up. It's a majority vote, and the sheriff, these are his friends. They're going to do what he wants." And he said, "If you want to go in and scorch the earth, we can, but you know, I don't know if we're going to win." So I said, "I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not resigning. Let's do this." So that's what we did. And he absolutely killed it. Adam Brower, he's from Banks and Brower in Indianapolis. Excellent defense attorney. He just so impressive. Um, he said it's on Spotify, my merit trial. If anybody wants to go
I
listen
can't
to
believe it's
him,
7 hours. That's
they
crazy.
can look it up on there. But yeah, we won. Ultimately, I won. I kept my job. The
What was the
merit
vote?
board.
What was the vote?
I don't know
I don't know
actually,
if it's like
but
3-2. Yeah, like I'm just curious.
oh,
Like,
no, I think it was. I think it. Actually, I don't know. I think there was only one person that voted against me.
okay,
Ironically, I was told it was the female. Ironically. But so I won. I did take 30-day suspension, which actually is like 2 months because we work 12-hour shifts. Um,
no
but
pay.
prior to my merit trial, I had filed uh, a lawsuit with another attorney, an employment lawyer, through the EEOC. So as we were going through things with the merit trial, my current lawyer, Adam, had noticed some things that were just, considered sexual discrimination, and advised that I need to hire another attorney and sue them for sexual discrimination. And that's ongoing, and that's what I'm doing right now. Um,
How long is that going to take?
well, the government shut down even longer now because it's a federal
Oh
case.
yeah.
So yeah, we'll have a jury trial for it. And my attorney, before the government shut down, said, I talked to him about 2 months ago. He said we were probably 6 months just to get to the discovery phase. So
That's
he said the
crazy.
EEOC is just they're understaffed and overworked right now. They have so many cases, so everything is just taking longer than what it should. Now with the government shut down, even longer. But that's
So
just what it
they
is.
you kind of just briefly talked about it, but they took your dog away. What
Mhm.
for how long? What was going on with the
Yeah.
dog? And was that just more a way of
That was just to hurt
a
me. I
punch
mean,
me?
that's
Yeah.
yeah. So they took my dog away. Didn't really have a handler for him at the time, so he kind of bounced between people that were just watching him for a while. And then they had another handler. They gave him to that handler, and that handler had gone through training and certified with him. I was in the meantime still, trying to get my K-9 back. I felt like I kept my job. I should get to keep my K-9. He was, taken away from me prematurely, and it was very unfair. And ultimately, I ended up winning and getting him back, but he's now considered retired. So now he's just my pet.
At least you got him back.
Um,
Uh,
yeah, I
that's
mean, it felt good. So, I mean, there's just so many people in the community that support me. The county commissioners, ultimately, it was their decision because they get to determine these assets with the sheriff's office. So although he's a K-9, he's still considered a tool. We all know that. So the county commissioners get to determine, if they're going to sell our vehicles, our rifles, our firearms, anything. So it was their choice to let me be able to keep him. I'm
did
very,
they
very, very thankful for that.
did they give him to you, or did you have to purchase him?
I had to purchase him. Unfortunately, they said, we need to replace this asset, and so
I guess
luckily
I could see
there
their
was a
perspective on that.
yeah, there was a yeah, I do, but knowing about the history of some other canines and what
Gotcha.
had happened with them in the past, it felt a little bit unfair. But that wasn't really necessarily because of them. I think they were told lies about other canines needing to retire for certain reasons when that canine didn't need to retire. There just wasn't um, handlers for the, or just whatever, just lies and misinformation that they were fed.
Gotcha.
So luckily there was I didn't have, I mean, I've already spent so much money on lawyers. I took a, 2 months of not getting paid. I spent all this money on lawyers at this point. Luckily the hometown foundation um, supported me, and they paid that money for me to be able to get Tico.
That's awesome.
So very grateful to them and the work that they do with canines. Now I'm a little frustrated because there has, been another K9 that's retired to its handler, and that K9 didn't retire for any reason other than his handler was leaving the department. So he was about the same age as Tiko, didn't have medical issues, nothing. It was just that guy went and got another job somewhere else, and obviously I think it's best to keep the K9 with their handler, but
Did he have to
they
pay
did
for it or no?
no, no.
Wow.
And again, they just maybe were misinformed. I don't know. It felt a little frustrating. Like
How many
I
days were
real
you off work total during this?
I don't even know. I mean, almost a year. By the time
Wow.
my suspension was up, I came back this January. I came back the end of January.
With the
Um,
year,
and
was anyone reaching out to you while you're at home by yourself? Or were they allowed to? Were they not allowed to? Are you allowed to say that?
so yeah, I mean, there were some people. They were scared though. Absolutely, they didn't. They were scared. You know.
That's crazy.
So I don't know if I told you I had a we might have talked about this earlier. I don't think we talked about it on the podcast, but I had a supervisor one time that was told to write me up for something, and he said, "No, I don't believe she did anything wrong. I was right there. I'm not writing her up. If you want to write her up, it's on you, but I'm not doing it." And they wrote him up and suspended him for 2 days for being insubordinate. So that kind of has like set the bar, I think, with how they want to lead with intimidation at the department. If they tell you to do something, you better do it. And it's
That's
frustrating
insane to me.
because I feel
Uh,
like our supervisors, they're there for us too. They stick up for us when they feel like we need stuck up for. They're our voice, and they've taken that away from them.
Was this the current sheriff? Was he ever? How long has he been in law enforcement? And was he a sheriff prior? Worked as a deputy or anything prior to
Yeah,
being elected?
he worked for another department prior and retired from there.
But he
So
was never a deputy.
I don't I don't know. I'm
Okay.
not sure. Yeah, I don't know if he was
Not not
ever
in not in your
he's a
experience.
he definitely has a passive law enforcement.
Gotcha. That's crazy though. I just can't fathom that
Yeah.
whole process. And then
It just seems so wild to me that it felt like a witch hunt, that they
yeah,
couldn't that they weren't going to terminate me over, what happened with my son. Just tried to make me look like I was a negligent parent, or, they didn't know the history that I've had with my son and the stuff that I've dealt with him, and trying to hold him accountable and try to make me look like I'm this terrible person, and um, had a lack of judgment, and I don't know, but so then it felt just so silly that when they told me they were trying to charge me with a level 6 felony for my social media, just felt like I've got to be the first one. I don't know if there's anybody else out there in law enforcement that their department has come at them and tried to charge them with a felony because of their social media.
Yeah,
Um,
I I know we talked about it previous. I
and
was blown away, and it's just weird that it started with that complaint and then
yeah.
went all the way to like that. Is it they?
And I know that I've shared like pictures of me in uniform, but so have other officers that I work with. And I guess when I look at it, I'm just so proud of where I've gotten in law enforcement. So proud to be one of the very few female K-9 officers, and I loved sharing that, and I thought it was also just a great way to connect with the community. Um, so it just seemed wild that they were trying to charge me with a felony for it. I don't know.
I think
Since
your agency could have embraced that and used that to their advantage with the amount of
absolutely,
followers that you have
right,
and that type of shit instead of
yeah.
making it like a I don't know. I don't know. Like
I
they turn
mean,
something positive into something negative for no reason.
absolutely. We can't hardly get anyone to apply to our department. It feels like we're already in a smaller community. So it feels like, my agency doesn't get very many applicants, maybe 20, 30 people applying. And it's like, you can use this stuff like, look, we have canines on our department. We have females. We allow tattoos. We allow this. Like we're supportive of our officers.
That's the
And
biggest thing.
I could have helped them with social media. Apparently I kind of know a little bit about it. So
Yeah,
but
that's insane.
no, yeah. So since I've been back to work, obviously, and just back on, well, when I came back to work originally, he refused to let me work patrol. I sat there for months and months doing nothing
Just
but
at the
watching
station?
movies. Yeah, just went to work and sat there watching movies on my phone. I didn't have any job duties. So I just, I didn't do anything. Eventually, I started being able to do small things like serve civil papers. Um, I can remember I can remember K-9 training was going on. I said, "Can I go help the guys train?" I'm a certified decoy and I know I know what I'm doing with K-9, and they wouldn't let me do that. They pulled out some random guys from the jail officers that don't even know what they're doing, get in a bite suit for the first time, and so it feels very personal at this point. Eventually, now here I am. I'm back on patrol, and I'm working with the guy that they got him a new K-9, and he's doing great with his K-9, and I help him out when I can, and we get along great. But it felt like for a while they were trying to put us against each other. They gave him my K-9 and then took him, and so we work together. We get along really well. Hopefully one day I get back into K-9.
That's cool.
But
That you guys despite whatever they were trying to do, that you guys are cool with each other.
yeah, yeah, I just it is what it is. So now I've been back to work. I just feel like I'm being retaliated against. One of my first week back to work, I was nervous and excited. And I remember leaving work on Friday, and I checked my work mailbox as I was leaving, and somebody had slipped a job application in my mailbox for another another police department, and I took it as a direct insult. Like somebody doesn't want me here. It
Or
just
on the positive side, maybe someone's looking out for you and be like, "Yo, this is probably a better option at this point." I don't know.
I considered that. I considered
I get
that.
it.
But that person then went around gloating about what they did and laughing and thought it was pretty funny.
So they were being
So,
an intentional dick, or was it like
oh yeah, yeah. I filed
okay.
a harass. I filed, I believe that it was harassment, so I filed a complaint for that. Um, haven't really heard much update on that. So there's been, I don't
How
know.
are you handling all this like emotionally, like you don't have to talk about it if you want to, but like
Yeah,
on a personal level with like the stress of the job's already astronomical, so now you're
yeah.
dealing with all this internal bullshit and stuff like that.
During the time, when I was off work, it was hard because I just thought about it every day. I didn't know when they were going to reach out to me. I didn't know when I was going to hear an update. I didn't really have a lot of information at all, especially when I was told I was under a criminal investigation. I wasn't told for 56 days what it was. And I felt I couldn't sleep. When I slept, all I did was dream about work and what was going on. So I felt like I never got a break from it. So yeah, emotionally, it was hard. It was hard on me. It was hard on my family. It just consumed me. Um, but I mean, it's getting better. Just still, I have that anxiety of going to work. Am I going to be written up today? I was just written up. I've been written up twice since I've been back to work. I've been under 2 IAs since I've been back to work. The first day that I got back to work, I was told I was under 2 IAs. Um, when they gave me a vehicle, for example, I was back on patrol. Everybody drives a brand new Tahoe at my department with the latest, greatest equipment, um, which I think is important for safety and to help us do our jobs. And there was a vehicle for me, a Tahoe that was not being used, but I wasn't allowed to drive it. They put me in this old, crappy Durango. It didn't have a working police radio. It didn't have a mount for my computer. I literally had my computer just sitting on the front seat, like trying to keep it steady so it wouldn't fly around and break. I didn't have a mount for my rifle. It just didn't have
Jesus.
anything that all the other vehicles had. It didn't have the same safety equipment that the other vehicles had. And I was actually driving lights and sirens to a call, and I was like, why is nobody getting out of my way? Like, what the heck? And then I get to my call and I realize I don't have any emergency lights. Like, they had quit working. That's
Oh
how
my
that's
God.
how ridiculous this vehicle was. Like, there was no thought put into making it prepared for patrol work, okay? So I just thought, could you imagine if I were to get in an accident or what could have happened? So I did make complaints about that, and never got any, why is my safety not as important? Why does everybody else get this and I don't? And I never got any answers. um I had reached out to the merit board and I was trying to get on the agenda. Maybe I can at least, they can't make decisions for the department, but maybe I can at least use them to help get my voice out there. And that they didn't like that. And
The merit board
it,
or the sheriff?
uh I was to say the administration.
Okay.
I believe it got back to them. I had a friend in the community that has, I wouldn't call him a true journalist. It's a hobby for him to report on things in the community. And he had always been reaching out to me, just kind of asking me, hey, how are things going? I've been following your story. He went into this, somebody that didn't support me. And then once he went to my merit trial, he became a supporter,
Oh,
basically.
that's cool.
But so he'd reach out to me periodically and ask me how things are going. And I kind of told him, like, well, pretty frustrated with how things are going, but if you want to get the details, maybe come to the next meeting, the merit board meeting. They're open to the public. I kind of told him about some things that I was dealing with. And next thing I know, I was written up for talking to the media. So,
How did they know?
um, they another officer had told them about it. I didn't think that it was a big deal because he's not media. Like, when I think of media, you think of like Fox 59,
Yeah.
WTHR.
Right.
And after reviewing our media policy says we can't talk to media regarding confidential investigations. Nothing like, hey, this is my personal life. I can talk about it all day long. Plus, I just don't consider this person media. I consider it a friend. And then and this person had a criminal history in our community. And so then I was told, basically, it's also a policy violation to talk to people in the community that have known felonious behaviors. And they literally attached his criminal record to my write-up.
Wow.
So I thought, you can imagine what was going through my head. So we can't talk to people with known felonious behaviors.
I, even if that's part of your rules
very
and regs.
contradicting.
Yeah. Like, even that's like, I feel like that is such a. This is my personal opinion. I mean, I understand the premise behind it, but if someone did something when they're 18-year-olds and they're a felon and now they've been clean for 30 years, you're telling me that I can't have it just doesn't make sense. If we believe so much in the criminal justice system that it rehabilitates people to be better, not commit the same crime, but as cops, you can't associate with someone that is not on probation, completely off everything, and not been in trouble. Like, how that makes no
Well,
fucking
and
sense. We contradict
I mean,
ourselves.
Right. It is very confusing as somebody that, has their bosses under criminal
Yeah, true.
investigation. So very, very confusing there. But so there was that, and then a few weeks ago, if you watch my social media, you saw I posted a video on there about I was on my way to a battery call and picked up my work phone to look at my work GPS. We use Spillman, and it's got the navigation to get where we're going. And I knew where I was going. I knew the general vicinity where I was going. I didn't know the exact apartment building that I was going. It was in like an old town building where it had been converted into apartments. So it's not like I'm just looking for an apartment building. I didn't even know this building had apartments in it. So then I was written up for holding my phone while I was driving. So that's pretty frustrating considering they give us MDTs and computers in our vehicle that we, during our FTO training, and we're reading those. Dispatch doesn't even put everything over the air. Like they put updates in our
Mhm.
computer. Like we're reading those as we're driving, so just frustrating to be written up for something that I know every single officer on my department does on a daily basis, and
Yeah,
makes me
no
feel
doubt.
like I'm being held to a different standard than everybody else.
What with those write-ups, what happens?
I just give them to
Does
my
it goes in
lawyer.
file?
I
Does it
just
go
give
in a
them to my
file?
lawyer.
Like, can they
Yeah,
suspend you or so many write-ups or some shit like that?
I don't
Theoretically?
really, I I really don't know. Ultimately, um, I have a theory that they're just trying to get me to quit or make me look bad for when I go to court.
I think if
But
anything, it's gonna look like they're like
retaliation
yeah, yeah, like, they're gonna look like assholes, like, they're gonna look like, "Yeah, we wanted to
feels
do
like,
it before, we couldn't get her fired, so now that, she's
yeah,
done this, we're gonna do everything in our power to, like, m make her look bad, like, for shit that everyone is doing." I don't know. I think they're
yeah,
just gonna look like complete buffoons, to be honest.
yeah. That's definitely how it feels, but I'll see how it plays out. So I think it's just I don't
It's
know that I have
crazy.
really any advice for anybody. I wanted to stand up for myself, and maybe it'll help other officers one day stand up for themselves. I know while I was going through my process, I did have a lot of officers reach out to me going through similar situations, and we'd kind of share what happened with each other, and um, I think maybe in some way I was able to help some, and some were able to help me. But
I hate that aspect of law enforcement. I'm very grateful for my administration, because I have not had to deal with that stuff, even internally with any other officer,
yeah,
like, at all. I just think God, it just kills me to watch it happen because
I, yeah,
people
I
in law
envy
enforcement are
you.
so selfless, and then you have these people in charge that and I'm not saying everywhere, like, but they're, supervision and
Well, I feel
politicians
like,
that are complete dicks, and then they add stress to the job, which is completely unnecessary.
yeah, I feel like it's frustrating, and we talk amongst each other at work that it feels like, especially the officers that are more proactive and are out there, getting the job done, doing stuff. We're the ones that are in the hot seat at the end of the day. The officers that are out there not doing anything, and I get it, they don't want to be in the hot seat, so they're just gonna stay under the radar. They're gonna be lazy. They might get, talked about like, hey, you're pretty lazy, go do something, but ultimately they don't find themselves in situations like this.
I agree. I recorded the intro because I hate doing it when people are watching me, and that's exactly what I said in my intro. Like, proactive officers in shitty departments with poor administrations get punished for being proactive, while
Yeah,
you can have an officer never do anything besides the bare minimum, and you'll never have the opportunity to get in trouble. And certain administrations encourage that. It's just crazy to me. It makes no sense, especially as cops. Like, our job is to prevent crime from happening. There's
mhm,
no other way to prevent crime from happening beyond being proactive. So if you're getting punished for being proactive, like,
yeah.
what kind of leadership is that? Makes no sense to me.
Yeah, they just lead by intimidation, in my
God,
opinion.
awful.
It's fresh every time you get written up or talked to, it's like a little bit of that makes me feel less motivated to want to
Of
go out
course.
and do the job. And I think that's how we lose good officers, in departments too. When they come after the good ones, it's the ones that stand up for the other officers that they end up leaving law
Yeah.
enforcement.
Because there's
They're just
great
all
departments out
over.
there, and you know, so if you're going to be a shitty in the way law enforcement is, everyone needs guys and girls to be
Mhm.
cops. So if you're at a shitty department that doesn't encourage proactivity, just check around you. I'm sure there's a department that would accept you with open arms and with great administration that would support you through
Yeah.
being
It
proactive.
just, I think, you know, it just seems so hard to start over somewhere else, and
I agree.
it's hard on my family. Like I said, I'm not from a law enforcement family. I'm recently married. My husband is not law enforcement, so he hates it all. He doesn't understand, you know, the chain of commands, and that I can't just go tell somebody to F off, you know.
I mean, theoretically, you could. I just don't know how to play out
Right.
for you.
There's going to be repercussions for that,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Well, I'm sure that this podcast helped other people out, and I appreciate you being introverted and willing to come on here and talk about it. I've been trying to get you to come talk about this forever, so I'm glad that you finally agreed to do it. And
It's just scary every time I say something, or, you know, you know, I talk about something, I know some sort of retaliation's coming, or there's some sort of reprimand that I'm gonna get from it. But at this point, I'm more interested in just sharing my story and trying to get other people to stand up for themselves. That it is what it is at this point. So I don't know. I hope to have a long career in law enforcement. Like I said, I hope to get back in K-9, but I don't know. We'll just see what happens for me. It'll be an election year soon, so we'll have
it's a good thing.
hopefully a new administration, and there's some good applicants running. So hopefully there's positive change where I'm at. But if not, I may reevaluate and think of a new career altogether. I don't know.
I don't blame you. Before we get off here, I want to show some love to the supervisor that did stand up for you, even though he took 2 days, and then it kind of changed his
Yeah.
perspective. But I mean, that's what you need
Yeah.
to do. You need that middle management to go out there and protect the people that are underneath them doing the right thing when you have shitty administrations. It sucks, but that you put on those stripes for a reason. So you gotta suck up the bad part of that position as well.
Yeah. Yep. I
Do you have
agree.
anything else? Because we always end every podcast with one question. So before I do that, I just wanted to see if you had anything else to add.
No, I don't think so on my end. I don't know. We've been talking for a while.
Yeah, it's been about an hour and
Yeah.
20 minutes on camera. I think we talked like 30 minutes before, so yeah, it's been a while. But we end every podcast with one question. We teach for a company called Justice Academy. So, what is your definition of justice?
Just, I guess, just standing up for the people that don't have a voice. You know.
I like it. I was hoping that you would give me some more um, raw emotion with justice with the
Sorry.
situation that you're in. Not
Sorry.
good. I mean, you
I
just
mean,
have a different perspective.
yeah. I mean, right now, I really hope to get justice for myself, justice for my K-9, who should still be working with me and serving, you know, justice for the community, because taking my partner away from me, that hurts the community. We were a good team together, and so I feel like standing up for myself, getting justice for myself, is helping other people learn that they can stand up for themselves as well.
Way better. Awesome. I appreciate it. And if you ever need anything, please reach out to me.
All right, thank you. You stay safe out there.
You too.